तिलमध्ये यथा तैलं क्षीरमध्ये यथा घृतं पुष्पमध्ये यथा गन्धं फलमध्ये यथा रसं काष्ठाग्नि यत्प्रकाशेन तल्लिङ्गं यचनं प्रभु. This shloka, this verse means that like the oil is hidden within the sesame seed, like juice is inherent in the fruit, like the fragrance is imminent inside the flower, like butter is there in the milk, like fire is there in the wood. Likewise, O Lord, you are there in everything. God is in everything, yet is not visible to the physical eyes or experienced through our physical senses. So we as scientists discard the idea of the existence of God because it is not measurable by the physical means, by empirical methods, by experimentation. So science, which cannot measure anything, believes it doesn't exist. But by definition, God is immeasurable through physical faculties. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. That which cannot be where the words return from. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. That which cannot be understood by the mind. Now, all that we have as scientists are these methods and means which are limited to our senses and the physical methods. And by definition, God is not supposed to be experienced that way. But then, how do we experience God and how do we know God exists? So, there is a process. The process is that of sadhana. Like to get the juice out of fruit, you have to squeeze the fruit, extract the juice. Like to get the fragrance out of flower, you have to dry it, extract the oil or fragrance out of it. So, also, you have to rub the two pieces of wood together to get fire out of it. So, all these are the properties of these objects, but the properties are latent in them. To make it patent, to make it visible, there is a process. Discarding the existence of God because you do not know the process is foolishness, foolhardiness. And that is what is happening around the world in education systems, in institutions of eminence, in political and social leaderships, and everything else, everywhere else. They simply discard the idea of a greater truth because it is not measurable by their limited means. What excites me about our education system is that our students are encouraged to pursue scientific advancement, to talk about the latest, to learn about the latest that is happening in the world, yet not forget this greater truth of the existence of God in everything, in everyone, and thereby dedicating their efforts to serve that God which is in all. Now, this unique combination of the most ancient ideals of Indian culture and spirituality and the most advanced, latest innovations and scientific advancements, combining them together, synthesizing them together without any conflict, without any contradiction, is something that Indians were always known for. On the way, they had forgotten, mesmerized by the Western scientific ideas, but now again there is a revival that is happening. And it's not just about our institution, I'm seeing this happening around. Teenagers in their bedrooms and on their dining tables are innovating, coming up with new ideas. And they are fearless. They did not worry about whether they will fail or they will succeed. They are so very passionate about it. And I've met a lot of them, actually 40 of them had people, how will you help them? And with that, this idea of India Startup Festival was seeded. First two editions happened right here in this very hall, where innovators came from around the world to present their ideas. There were investors too who wanted to whatever invest in these ideas and promote them. And after that, the idea of taking it to school level came from Jay Chaudhary ji, and that is how these kids and many kids from around the country, they all traveled, 40 of them. 4 of them were from our institutions, and they all presented their ideas in that forum at Texas, Dallas. That's the state university, Texas State University, which is where this program was held. So it makes me very happy that our students are able to think in a modern scientific way and also work for the cause of helping the society, working for the blind. We often do not realize how difficult their lives are. A simple thing may hurt them and they may hurt themselves, and it could make it worse for them. Whereas most of the society does not even appreciate or empathize with this idea of blindness. Here are the kids who thought about it and came up with some sensors, and so flexible it can be fixed to your belt or specs or stick or shoes, wherever. It just helps you to understand if there is some kind of obstruction, some kind of object in front of you, and you can save yourself. Such a wonderful thought. Then the other one is about heat waves. We have been listening to this news, especially from Delhi and up north, how many people are dying because of heat waves. It's still continuing. Somebody went to Delhi, felt that if I can warn them ahead of time that there is going to be a heat wave during this time, please do not venture out. This might save some lives. So with that idea, the other group started on that. And I've seen some of the very wonderful ideas the other students from other institutions also presented. It was there in the newspapers I was reading. What makes me very, very happy that all of them are able to think. See, thinking is given to man only, to able to think. Others are behaving according to their instincts. But this ability to be creative, like God, is given only to humans. But that is like hidden in them. Like God is hidden in the universe, like fire is hidden in the wood, or fragrance is hidden in the flower. It has to be brought out, it has to be taken out. And that sadhana, that is education. Right kind of education will bring out all that latent potential in these children and bring it forward, bring it out, and make it useful to the society. So I'm very happy that they also have a business plan. I think this is because of that institution where they presented. They were supposed to give a business plan, competition analysis, and future plans, all that, their scalability and things like that. So they're quite smart. I think these people were mentored well by their own respective mentors to present the plans. But good, money or no money, you should continue to serve. I think that is how you differentiate yourself, right? Of course, you need money to produce these whatever gadgets and equipments, but that's not the end objective. If that happens, good. But your objective is to serve as many people as you can. So think like that and work like that, right? That should be the idea. Do you also learn scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Vedas, and all? Come here, chant one and show that, so that the world knows that I am not lying. Come here. Bani, nalga. All four of you come here. People shouldn't think that we are only teaching science and non-spirituality. They should also know a little bit of that. What would you chant?
First.
You step on him. Go forward. First, you need that sensor. You go forward.
एवं सततयुक्ता ये भक्तास्त्वां पर्युपासते येषां पक्षरमव्यक्तं तेषां के योगवित्तमः श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यावेशमनो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेता स्ते मे युक्ततमा मता.
You know the meaning?
Yeah.
Tell.
So the first shloka defines that Arjuna asks Krishna, so whom do you prefer as a pure devotee? A person a person who prays to a form god, or a person who prays to the formless god. So in the second shloka, Krishna says that I prefer a devotee who is more focused on me and who is more devoted and loved to me.
Okay. You know this is from 12th chapter, right?
Yeah.
You know, you learn Vedas also?
Yeah. Ishavasya Upanishad. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om ईशावास्यमिदगुं सर्वै यत्किञ्च जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीतामागृद कस्य स्विद्दनम्
Okay. What is the meaning of this shloka?
So, so this means that everything is infinite. So, like the example is like from the ocean, if you take one mug of water, the water remains the same. So that's the definition of the shloka.
That is Purnamida. Purnamida.
Every-
Ishavasyam first shloka. Ishavasya vidam sarvam means what?
God is there everywhere.
Tell in the mic.
Isha Vasyamidam Sarvam means God is present in all the beings, in the nature, in us, and in everything.
So what do you do then? The second part of the shloka says what? Tena
Yatkinchit
tyaktena bunjita. No? What is the meaning?
sacrifice and the nature of sacrifice, we have to do it for others, so that we are indirectly doing sacrifice to God by
Correct.
serving
So
the God.
sacrifice and then consume. Tena tyaktena
Bunji
bunjita. Bunjita means to enjoy. So don't enjoy unless you sacrifice, right? That is why Magruda kasyat vidhanam means?
so that we can realize.
No, that is okay. But what is the meaning of Magrudaha? Magrudaha means don't snatch. Kasyas vidhanam. Don't take. What you said? Don't take others' wealth. What does not belong to you, don't take from others. Okay? Okay, good. Go sit. This is Hale Beru Hasachigiru. This is what it means when you say old roots and new shoots. See, India is very uniquely positioned because we have this ancient scriptural knowledge which none of the other countries can boast of. They have a lot of scientific knowledge because they only focused on that so far. So they were naturally ahead of us. But I think there is a kind of a revival of ancient Indian knowledge systems is happening. It's seen at every level. And this makes me very excited because this is what India stood for. We had the greatest rishis who knew the distance between sun and the earth and who knew that earth was a spherical shaped planet, not a flat one like western ideas. They knew so much before even these scientific instruments came into existence through which you could study the universe. They knew medicine, they knew surgery, they knew metallurgy, they knew astrology, they knew astronomy, they knew geography, they knew so many other aspects. Art and culture, of course, architecture and all the other fine arts. They were so advanced, and at the same time, they knew the greatest spiritual truths. Today, scientists are figuring this out slowly that behind all that which is visible and seen, the matter, there is a hidden, subtle presence of a kind of intelligence, which is not just a dead mechanical intelligence, it is aware. They're saying that. They're no calling it that it is conscious, it is aware. And that is being studied now seriously in Ivy League institutions by greatest of the scientists, the nature of the universe. And what is that which brings that kind of intelligence to the nature? And these are very serious studies that are happening, not just some hypothetical thing. They're really undertaking a lot of studies because once you break things down, the matter is broken down into the smallest of subatomic particles. Even after that, there is space left. And we are just made of space, 99.9999, whatever nines you can put, we are space. And we are matter only to that 0.0000, whatever 1%. But still we look solid, we look as if we are full because there are forces that hold these atoms together. And what are these forces? What kind of nature these forces have? And beyond all the nature of the forces, they're finding there is some kind of a natural intelligence. And that is some kind of aware intelligence. I was mentioning in 2022, the Nobel Prize was given to 3 physicists who did an experiment over 100 years. So these were people from 3 different generations. And they did the experiment on entangled photons. And those who are students of physics or science, they know that photons, they spin in opposite directions. They're always paired. So when you separate the two by the distance of the universe, that is their hypothesis, though they created a kind of a tube of vacuum in which they could separate the 2 photons and put them at 2 ends of the tube and study their spin. And if they knew this one is spinning clockwise, they always knew the other would be spinning anti-clockwise. So even if you distance them with the distance of the universe, they still will not forget their original nature of their spins. They said, how is this possible? They have no way to communicate, right? You are in this side of the world, somebody is on the other side of the world, you call them up and then you tell them to behave in a certain way. There is a communication. But how do these two photons communicate with each other? So that is called entangled photon problem. And that was studied for over 100 years. Now they've come to conclusion that whatever said and done, these two can communicate. There is a way they know each other despite all the distance. So there is something that connects them all. And they're saying it is because of this field of energy of which they are a part. So whatever they do at one end of this field, it naturally gets transmitted or communicated at the other end. And that is how you know all this consciousness exists or some kind of intelligence awareness exists. This is being proven now. And this our sages said long, long time back, Prajnanam Brahma, they said. That which connects everybody is Brahma. Brahma means Brihat, Brihat means vast, infinite. And how it is? Prajnanam, it is aware, it is intelligent, it is conscious. This was told in Aitreya Upanishad, I don't know in which, how many thousands of years ago. That Prajnanam is the nature of Brahma. And the beauty of Indian sages is that they didn't even leave it as some intelligent, conscious, natural force. They called it divinity. They said it is the origination of everything. It is that God that we talk about. That's what they're saying between the Nirguna and Saguna. Which one do you prefer, Krishna says? But Krishna says, of course, that Nirguna is a difficult path for those who are in form. So Saguna is easier path. He doesn't compare and say one is better than the other. He simply says it is easier to follow the path of Saguna and difficult to follow the path of Nirguna because our minds are not trained. We only want to experience and then believe. We want to touch, taste, smell, hear. Then only we believe in things, whereas God is beyond the senses. So this idea of Indian spirituality is now being scientifically studied. And the whole quantum mechanism, whatever the quantum physics, is all about the study of consciousness only. How there is a quantum field and how everything is connected in that field. So if you can crack the code of that field, if you know how it works, you can make things work very fast. That's what all these people are now. Huge investments are going on in quantum computing. And they're saying what a regular computer will take maybe 100 years or 1,000 years to do. Quantum computers can do it in no time. So the whole world is shifting to a different paradigm. How is it happening? Because they figured it out that there is a connection between everything in the universe. And that is the quantum field they talk about. So if you know it, how to use it to your advantage, you can get it to do so many things that you want it to do. So many problems can be solved. This is being studied very seriously and people like Google and others are investing billions in quantum computing because that is the next big thing. Right now it is huge, like the computers of Charles Babbage in those days which were like a size of a hall. To today computers are the size of your palm. Things have changed. Likewise, today quantum computing may look like a huge building is needed and so many other systems. Tomorrow it might be on your palm. That is how the world is shifting. But the principle behind this is that there is a connection between everything. That is the principle. Everything is connected to each other. If you just know how to use that connection, which is what the scientists are trying to figure out, you can do anything. Imagine I sit here and I can communicate or say something to somebody on the other side of the world without having to use internet, without having to use all these kind of transmission systems. Because the quantum field is everywhere. What in the old times we used to say, what you call as telepathy or something like that. The rishis were able to communicate to people or they would receive messages from the divine. That's how the Vedas, the Paurishayas got written. All this is now going to happen. And this century is going to be the century of quantum mechanics, quantum physics, and quantum computing. And that is based on the principle of prajnana. It is not based on any scientific principle. It's based on the spiritual principle that everything is connected. Everything is intertwined. Everything is interdependent. There is a communication that is going on. And that does not need physical means. That does not need a wire or a wireless system either. That does not need a satellite or whatever. There is an intelligence which automatically is present in everything and everyone. Long back, Nikola Tesla, who was a great scientist of those times, he was trying to develop something on this idea of our Vedic knowledge of connectivity of everything. But of course, he didn't survive because his model will be free. Electricity can be, transmitted through quantum field. You don't need electrical, whatever, these transmission towers and huge transmission lines, which is inefficient. You know how much of energy is lost in transmission. 40-50% energy is lost. Plus, in a country like ours, they steal from the transmission lines. So that also is lost. And then you have to build transmission towers that cost so much of money through hills and dales and valleys and meadows. Not easy. Nikola Tesla had come up with a tower used to where one tower can communicate with the other tower at any distance, very far distance, kind of wireless. But he was trying to tell that there is a field that connects everything. If you can crack the code of that field, you can send messages, electricity, or anything through that field to the other side. He could have transformed the entire world, but I believe it was, I don't know exactly which finance company was there, but I think it was some finance company which did not want this to happen, because then they asked, how will you charge the people for using this technology for electricity? They said there won't be any charges. You just have to build the tower and everybody receives electricity like that in their devices. They said, then how are we going to make money? And that's when they did not fund him. And out of depression, he committed suicide, is what they say, or maybe died in sickness and depression, because nobody supported his selfless idea. So I don't want our entrepreneurs to become like them. Just to make money, you do wrong things. And just because nobody is funding you, don't do the right things. That cannot be the way of future. So you should continue to stay steady. Whatever you're doing is for the welfare of all. Of course, some basic costs have to be taken care of. That would be a part of this thing, but not beyond that. Greed should not become our way of life. Need, that is what tena tyaktena bunjitha magudakasya svidhanam. This is what it means. Everything is divine. Live with a sense of sacrifice. Consume, but before consuming, sacrifice. And do not take another person's wealth. It means do not steal from another person what belongs rightly to them. A blind person deserves help. Do not steal away the help from them because they cannot pay for it. That should not be the way of life. So this is how you should think. You should think science, you should think innovation, you should think the next generation technologies, but with the background of Ishavasyamidam sarvam yat kinchat jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjita maagdakasya svidhanam. If you can become that kind of scientists and innovators who show the world a new path of how equality or equity in every sphere can be brought, can be made to manifest practically, then I would be very proud of you. Just innovating and trying to make a business out of it is not going to excite me at all. It's not going to make me proud. It may make others proud about your achievement, but I wouldn't give you any points for that. So be like those rishis of the past who left behind no patents, no claims on any royalties or licensing fees. Whatever knowledge they had, they just wrote it and shared it with everybody. Let everybody use it. Open source kind. And everybody is using it. I'm quite, grateful to such people who brought new ideas, new knowledge, and left it for everybody to use it. No claims on it. Knowledge should be free. Knowledge is divine. Divine cannot be charged. Divine cannot be measured in money. So a divine idea also cannot be. That is why in our institutions our knowledge is free. Because it is divinity. Divinity cannot be sold and bought. So when that happens, then there is liberty, there is justice, there is fraternity, equality, all those great human values that we talk about as big nations, all that can happen. And these children can lead the way because they are rooted in Indian scriptures and spirituality. But if you spend too much time in places like Dallas, you will get corrupted. So you, whenever you want, go do work and come back to India. If you stay there, tell me your company and I shall tell you what you are. Because there, everybody is money minded. If anything they want to do, they want to see what will I get out of it. All the thoughts run around like that in that kind of a system. Because they don't have Indian scriptures to guide them, they're blind. Whereas we have these eyes of the scriptures which show us the right path. So we should use our scriptures as our yardstick, our guide, our milestones, our whatever, the true north in walking this path of scientific advancement. And I'm hoping that these new technologies will further reduce the cost of various basic necessities like education, health, communication, transportation, and everything else that the humanity needs so badly. And millions of them do not have access to it. Let that happen through our institution. Some of them, we have also instituted a research division here, Innovation and Research Council is there, and for that we are investing also heavily. As we sit here, we are inventing a heart-lung machine. Those who do not know heart-lung machine in a hospital when you do a cardiac surgery, Your heart has to be stopped to do the surgery, but then the blood has to circulate in the body. So this pump is put in, which talks to the lungs, then the oxygenated blood is pumped back through the veins and arteries, and that keeps running the show till your heart is repaired. And once heart is repaired, then the connection is re-established and the machine is removed. So that is the machine, but it's very expensive. When it comes from abroad, we are paying almost I don't know 1.5 crores plus for just for it's not a rocket science. So then we propose this idea: why don't we solve this problem? It will reduce the cost to the hospitals and patients. Now it is under development with IIT Madras Research Park based company. This prototype is almost ready, and I think it will get hopefully approved for usage by November, so we can launch it during the 100th birthday as a contribution from our institution for the welfare of humanity. It will bring down the cost of the machine to less than probably one fifth of the present cost. And that will help us because we pay huge customs and duties on these machines that we import, because none of these is made in India. Imagine such a huge country, every for 3 minutes, 4 minutes there is a heart attack, and so many surgeries happen every year. Yet we do not have an India made heart lung machine that works. We don't have a licensed machine. We only buy from US and Europe and places like that at very heavy costs. But we want to change that. So we gave a problem, and that problem is being solved slowly. Hopefully by November it will be done. Likewise, so many other ideas of wearable devices, to many other patient monitoring systems, remote monitoring systems, and so many. So our children will have an opportunity to work with these kind of scientists in the future. If you have that, aptitude for it, you have the opportunity presenting itself to you. So like these kids, everybody should think of solving problems. So education should make you problem solvers. But right now our education is making us problem creators. We create problems for ourselves and everybody around us because of our greed. But when we shift that focus, how can I help? How can I give? How can I be of use to somebody else? How can I serve someone? When you ask these questions, how can I solve a problem for the society? Then God will help you. He'll guide you. He'll guide your intellect and then help you to come out with solutions like this. Understood? Yeah. They all, perhaps they're so young to they understand how the dynamics of the world works. But hopefully as they grow in their mature in their spirituality, they will be good citizens and good scientists, good innovators, good problem solvers for the world. And I want to see a world where nobody really is sad or suffering for an avoidable reason. That kind of world our children should create for the future. That is my hope, and hopefully this education will lead them that way. And our faculty, staff, and everybody who is encouraging them, to all of them my blessings, because this is how it should be done. We should be a deeply spiritually rooted institution, but we should not be obsolete or outdated when it comes to the modern science and technology. We should be here as well as there, like the two photons. They are always connected despite being far distance from each other. This quantum field of spirituality connects our hands, head, and heart. That is how we think right, feel right, and do right. That is the integral education. That is the complete education. That is the total holistic education philosophy that we have. So I will encourage everybody to participate whichever way, whichever level you are. Musicians can do that. Your music can be healing. Your music can be designed to heal patients, or it could be art, or it could be anything else, whichever field you are in. Right now as we sit, there is in a sports field also there is a lot of there is no clear understanding of sports injuries and the dynamics of sports. Because of that, a lot of people undergo injury at an early age and their careers are destroyed, and there's nothing you can do about it. So we are going to set up a biomechanics lab in a couple of months. One of our faculty, we sponsored him to go to the UK and study at Loughborough University with one of the best labs of biomechanics, of how the various joints work, and when you are bowling, at what speed, intensity you should bowl according to your whatever the shoulders and bones and structure, so that you don't injure yourself. So they study this, and I saw this in Swami Vivekananda University in Calcutta, in Kolkata, near in Belur Math, how they were doing this whole thing about bionics of sports, and how they were encouraging students. They will simulate how they should play so that they don't injure themselves and abruptly end their careers. So that and sports medicine, so much. So whenever people come with a good idea to me, Ano Bhadra, Yantu Vishwataha. Let noble thoughts come to us from all sides, says Rigveda. So anybody comes with a noble thought, I do pay attention. Even if I don't know about it, I go read up and come back and then discuss and say, ask them the right questions. How will we solve these? What are these issues? And then encourage them to do whatever is required. Here also, I'm going to Japan in a week's time, not even week, another 5 days. And that is also to talk to the Tokyo University about some agricultural innovations. Japanese are very smart, and because they have very limited land and food security is a huge issue, always they import from everywhere. So they come up with new technologies in healthcare, in agriculture, in space sciences, computing, name it, electronics, transportation, in everything they're far ahead. So we want to talk to them and see how we can develop some best practice in agriculture, bring innovation and technology. So our farmers' incomes become better, their crops don't fail, they don't have to commit suicide because of such lack of help, and who knows, that may transform the way agriculture works. So since we have an agricultural course, that was my idea, that why not encourage some research there. And they have multiple ideas that they do, and they're very happy. They think you are going to, if we share with you, you will use it for a good cause, unlike other corporate farming companies. So we are happy to talk to you. So I'm taking a set of scientists and going to Japan, to Tokyo, to understand what they do, how they are doing that, and how they're increasing the efficiency of seeds without actually genetically ruining them or without causing any harm to the nature and climate. How they're able to increase the efficiency of oil seeds and so many other things. Because India will go through a food crisis. We are 146 crore people. I've read the newspaper. The estimate is 146.3 crore we are now. We are the highest populated country in the world at this point in time. Of course, the census will come out late, but then estimations are this. Another 30 or 40 years will be 170 crore people before our population declines, because we are also falling short of replacement ratios. But 170 crore people have to be fed, educated, treated, housed, and taken care of. And this is not going to be easy for a country like ours. We will struggle unless we innovate and find newer solutions and think ahead of the times. We will not be able to solve. Our trust will have to work double. Anyway, we are working 24 hours. We'll have to work 48 hours a day there to solve the problems, because these many children have to be in school. These many people have to be fed. With the present situation only, we are malnourished. We are not being treated. We are not being educated. With that kind of a population of another 40, 50 crores in the next 30 years, who all have to be educated, employed, sheltered, clothed, given some purpose and some work in life. How is this going to happen without innovation? Not possible. So we have to think ahead. That is what, as an institution, you should always be evolving, should be growing, not stagnated with the laurels of the past. Oh, we are better than everybody else, so what's the need? No, science and technology and innovations will guide the future. Nevertheless, like the tree that has roots fixed but branches grow, our institutions will keep their roots fixed in our spirituality, but branches and leaves and flowers and everything will still happen in all fields of knowledge. That is what is the perfect analogy of the old roots and new shoots. And every one of us should challenge ourselves to solve a problem. Do not be complacent. Do not just settle down for the limited. Aim for the sky, aim for the stars. That is how mind should evolve. As Rabindranath Tagore says, I was just talking to the Research Foundation in Mumbai, our Sanjeevani research. I remember what Dr. Rabindranath Tagore said in his poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear and the Head is Held High. First opening lines itself, it really touches me. He says, where the mind is without fear, head is held high, where knowledge is free. That itself touches me. And the last lines, closing lines, says, where the mind is led by thee into ever-widening thought and action. See, mind should not limit itself. It is infinite. It is made of the same thing as God. So if you connect our mind to God's mind, and then it's expansive. And final line he says, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. What a beautiful thought. Mediocrity, no. Excellence, no. Perfection is what he asks for. Always pushing ourselves to be the perfect instruments of God, to be perfect in whatever we do, however small or ordinary the endeavor might be, but doing it perfectly. That is what Rabindranath Tagore prays for. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. We have still not awakened. We are still sleeping. We are a sleeping giant. So much potential, but no opportunities. And why there are no opportunities? Because everywhere there is financial barriers. So talent never gets the opportunity because of the finances that are involved. When you make it free, children like this can travel to Texas, present their ideas, get whatever funding and mentorship. Who knows, they'll solve a big problem for the world tomorrow. That happens when you remove the financial barrier. That's why knowledge has to be free. If knowledge is charged, innovation stops. The whole, no, I can go on talking about entrepreneurship and innovation because so much I have done studies on that. I met a group, I asked them what is the problem in India? Why there is so much of innovation happening but nothing, no products and services come out? They said everybody gets stuck at the financing stage, nobody finances them, and then they die. Great ideas perish because no finance. I said, but government has a huge fund. I was talking to somebody, 50,000 crores they put for a national innovation fund. What happened to that? He said to apply to that fund and get that money is, you rather give up your innovation. They say this takes such a long time. They give you first tranche, they won't send you the second tranche, you will be stuck halfway, you can't spit, you can't swallow. These are the kind of things, that's why things don't move in India. Some of the best directors of some topmost institutions were telling me this. So this is the problem, we have to create some other parallel system to promote and finance these innovations, otherwise they will die, good ideas will die. That is the other problem. So like that, we are having many problems to solve, but let us see, start one at a time. Now, every long journey starts with one step in the right direction. That is what we are trying to do. While we will continue to teach spirituality and Vedic knowledge to everybody, and that's compulsory, as you all know. On the other side, we will also solve problems of the world through the latest innovation and technology. And as I said, in every field it should happen. Everybody should be encouraged to think, to be creative, to experiment, to solve a problem. And I know it may take a few iterations, much effort, not every time you succeed. But keep trying is very important. Prayatno videya, says our scriptures. Keep trying, keep trying. That is the only solution to the problems of the world. So as we build our institution, we will also build our nation and the world at large. But the most beautiful aspect would be that while we work at this end of scientific advancement, we also will be rooted in our spiritual thoughts of everything being divine and behave accordingly. With this, I'll close.